7 years old. I'm from the Kaska Queen tribe in northern Yukon, part of the Wolf clan. I grew up in Ross River, Yukon until I was about 10, 11, then we all moved down to northern BC and I spent my youth there. In Ross River, my parents, they didn't want us to grow up in society, I guess. So they built a cabin in the woods, and we lived at the base of a mountain all my young childhood. Let's see here, the parents, they hunted and fished for everything and preserved everything for the winter, and all winter they would trap and they would set fish nets in the winter, and we'd store our food that way for the bit. Learning to fish and hunt in the Yukon was when you're younger was a must in our family, because that's how my parents lived. That was their survival. My late teens and early 20s. It's well, the time when you think you know everything and you're smarter than everybody else. I got into a fair amount of drugs. Not during high school. It was mostly just pot and heavy drinking. And then when I moved out and started experimenting the world, and I fell into the trap of the young gay lifestyle of drugs and alcohol. Well, I've become a female impersonator.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing it for a little over a year now. And I think I've gotten really, really good. I'm going to be hosting my first event this Friday. Well, my drag event is for the 2012 Kelowna Pride. I'm hosting the first Okanagan Amateur Drag and King contest. I have a drag blood sister that I met a little over a year ago. Her name's Sasha Zamoljakova. And if it wasn't for her, I don't think I'd do it as much as I have been doing it. I've always had the natural talent and beauty there, just I didn't have a venue to do it as much as I have been. So yeah, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be the amazing blooming star that I'm becoming. My family in the residential school system. Well, I don't know much. I know all the stories that they've told me. My mother, she's blocked out all the bad memories of her experience. So every time I ask her and talk to her about it, she mostly remembers all the good times. But when I talk to my uncles and my aunts, they tend to remember everything and the horrible experiences and all the bad things that have happened to them. Well, a residential school system was the white man's way of assimilating natives into their European culture. So they created these schools for Aboriginal children to go to learn, obviously, the white way, and to beat out the native part of them. They tried to kill a culture, which was kind of insanely horrible. Thankfully, it failed. Had a lot of gross repercussions from it throughout society now. I think the main thing that they face is discrimination and ignorance. It's astounding how much of the white population don't know the native history, and I suppose that's the school system's fault for not putting it in the textbooks. And yeah, just, they don't know, so they blame a lot of natives for being silly, and they think that drinking and living on a reserve is our culture, but they don't realize that that's a backlash of the residential school system. Since I've stopped drinking and doing a lot of drugs, I haven't received any discrimination. But when I was younger, it's funny, when you go more down south, the less discrimination is. It's more like a behind the words kind of ignorance. But farther north you get, the discrimination is more verbal. I remember when I was younger, I was walking down in the store. I think I was only about 9 or 10. I was shopping with my mom, and this one little white family took her kid, and she they took this huge walk around us, and it's just, I remember that, and it was I didn't understand it at the time, obviously. I just thought it was silly. Or there's another time I remember when I was when I was drunk in Calgary. This one person spit towards me and called me a filthy native. But that hurt. But then again, it hasn't happened since I was stopped drinking. I guess we have to make our own steps within our community to stop the discrimination if we want it to end. You're gonna face it everywhere. I can say there's actually nothing about my culture I'm not proud of. I think that the resurgence that's happening right now within most Aboriginal communities is quite amazing, and it's beautiful in its way that they're trying to get the culture back. I can say I'm not proud of how Aboriginals are portrayed, but that's not our culture. That's just a mishap that's happened and grown, unfortunately. But it's hopefully one day will come to an end, and then everybody will see that our spiritual culture is quite brilliant, and that what everybody's trying to do now, become green and become more spiritually open, they'll realize that that's the basis of Aboriginal culture. We want to live with the planet side by side with the earth, not take too much, because we knew if you take too much, it's not going to always be there. I think the most thing people can do is to educate. I think people just need to know that there's a bigger history than just the white colonization of Canada. And I think if everybody knows and people are more enlightened with the knowledge of what really happened with Aboriginal cultures, then maybe the discrimination will diminish a bit. Obviously we'd have to start, well, I guess if we start with the kids, it might take a while, because then they'll grow up and teach themselves, or we can try to aim at the adults so they can teach their kids, and it'll be a quicker process, but quicker isn't always better. So maybe, just educate everybody, let them know. Hopefully then the bad words will stop. Performed my first time with Sasha. She brought me out of it, and then I performed a number at, once again, Sasha's Halloween party, and now there's this one. Performing's not exactly my forte yet. It's my first time hosting an event, and I think I'm pretty witty, so I should probably entertain and at least get some laughs. My fiance fell in love with the painting, so he went and bought it. But in order for him to buy it, I said that he had to get a painting of Ella commissioned, same size or bigger, because Sasha will not be that big in my house.
My parents live in Penticton. Oh. So I come out every August. So this just happens to be happening this year. Hey, happy Pride on the noggin.
This is Craig. Also known as Carly.
Right before the performance, I'm gonna put all the blood on.
A good queen. Mediocre at best.
We have all of our stuff headed your way now. Did you see any of your girls trying to pay as my fans?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Anybody gets hungry?
Here, we have this for you, Ella. We figured you would like the banana.
Oh,
Occasionally,
I'm engaged. All right, my sex toys days are over.
Look at my red.
You've used it quite a bit.
Oh, it got hot in here.
It's free. Little out of breath, little sweaty, but you know.
Gorgeous!
Alright, well prepare yourself. I seen all these queens dance earlier today and they are going to entertain you.
I'll see you tomorrow! I'll see you tomorrow! For 3 minutes, it says? Okay. And then dump them in cold? And then skin slide right off, right? Okay.
Life's great.
Wasn't considered to be in Vancouver.
My name is Robin
in a
Booster.
portable container on Main and Second.
26
So
years
far,
old.
it doesn't appear that the fire has spread to the
work
main
up north
Maynard's
in the little
building.
patches
We'll
of
keep an
Fort
eye on this
McMurray.
and update you at VCA after seeing the video.
Husband
The
to
phone was traced, and that led.
We went to go visit my parents for the weekend, and right now, I went to go visit them in Grand Isle, BC. right now we are heading out of Grand Island to get a load of firewood. Good times. Want to get a bigger rope?
Nope. Just, yeah. Cool. Loaded. We got everything. Axes, saws, wedges, gas, oil. I got up in front there.
Would it be fine up front there?
I think so.
Alright. We used to swim off these docks every summer. This dock used to extend a lot farther out. And then we used to swim to those logs. I remember I never used to be able to swim down here. And this guy threw me in that I had a crush on. And then he taught me how to swim. It's a sweet, sweet moment.
Yeah, hello, my name is Emily Defoe. I'm Dustin's mother.
I'm Norman Defoe, Dustin's father. Living off the land, you have to pretty well do everything when the seasons permit.
Yeah.
If you miss a season, like for berry picking, huckleberries or anything like that, then you go without for a year. So it's very important when they are available that you do spend the time to go out and get them, and which is you really appreciate later on in the winter, especially in January, February.
Yeah. I do a lot of canning.
A lot of preserving,
Yeah.
smoking, make our own sausage, and we try to be as much self-sufficient as we can. Here's something for interesting. Our first date was a caribou hunt together. She
Yeah.
found out I could shoot straight, so she figured I was a good guy to keep around.
He had a mouth on him.
Still got a mouth on him.
That's always got him into trouble.
No, we never had too much problems with him. No more than any other parent there with teenage kids going to school. Just trying to keep them straight and on the right line. Learn to get along. That solves so many problems.
Yes.
But unfortunately, too much greed in the world, and that's a big divide between the poor, which most of the natives are living on reserves and stuff. They don't have the same opportunities, especially in small communities like this. Living in cities and other communities, bigger communities, they have more opportunities. But as long as they can start talking together, living together, the world will be a hell of a lot better, a lot easier place. And the kids would benefit a lot more from it.
Exactly. Yeah, I see a lot of kids go through the school here, and it's pretty tough on them.
A lot of purchasing,
Yeah.
especially in a small community.
It's Dashkia. It means the wanderer. of nostalgia. There's one good thing about here is that everything's always the same. Well, what are some barriers between Aboriginal people and non-Aboriginal people? Once again, it's just the ignorance. People don't know certain things. They make snap judgments about Aboriginals and their lifestyle. They think that our culture is living on a reserve, getting drunk. A lot of people unfortunately think that. And I think once people get past that and they realize that our culture is so much more, then those barriers will hopefully fade away.